Hello, today I'm outside of St. James Cathedral in Seattle, Washington, and I'm going to be exploring Hay House Publishing's history of significant exploitation and medical endangerment of members of the LGBT community and the general public. In my past videos, I've talked about the way Hay House Publishing has endangered individuals who depend on life-saving vaccines, life-saving pharmaceuticals, who depend on timely suicide intervention. But this video is going to explore Hay House's history of exploiting members of the gay community, particularly those who had AIDS. I had hoped to be able to do this video during June, during Gay Pride Month, but I was not able to. But I wanted to talk about the way Hay House Publishing, which was founded by Louise Hay, was founded based on faulty premises and concepts, and the money that she made to establish her publishing house was money that she profited by targeting and exploiting gay men who had AIDS. This was a concentrated choice and effort by Louise Hay to exploit gay men. I'd like to make it very clear that members of the New Age community excusing that Louise Hay told gay men that they contracted AIDS due to not having an open heart and by bad thoughts are not individuals who in any way value or care for or love gay people. When I started to do research on some of the wrong things that were being put out by Hay House, I came upon references of Louise Hay bragging about having targeted gay men who had AIDS for her materials, and how she had had something called Hay Rides. I also came upon references that I found online about her marketing herself as some sort of alternative AIDS counselor, and how some people did not appreciate what she was putting out. When I came upon this material, I wished that I could meet or talk with someone who knew anything about what was going on at that time frame. Little did I know, I already knew somebody. It took my doing some research in a community area for someone that I know to come up one day and ask me what I was doing. And when they found out I was researching stuff on Hay House, the individual asked me if that was tied to Louise Hay. And when I said yes, and he asked me why I was researching this company, and I explained that I had caught Hay House Publishing endangering the life of a young black man and suicidal people and those who depend on vaccines and medications, and that I was rather mortified that this was happening, his response to me was, what is happening now is what they did from the start. So my neighbor, who is a gay man, who is out, was a caretaker, a friend, and someone who loved quite a number of people who perished during the early AIDS crisis. And he was caretaker of one man in particular who had gone on a hay ride with Louise Hay. And my neighbor described to me with incredible angst and emotion what it was like to care for a beautiful, loving, kind, caring gay man who had been told by Louise Hay that the reason that he had AIDS was because his heart wasn't open to love. And that this man who was told this was an amazing, beautiful human being. His caretaker, who loved him immensely, tried desperately to get this gay man to reject these false notions. And he watched this man suffer when the false teachings of Louise Hay that you can cure yourself of AIDS did not transpire, because nobody cures themselves from AIDS via affirmations or magical thinking. I have to say it was probably one of the most intense emotional experiences of my life, to listen to someone who had lost so many beautiful gay people that he knew, loved, and to express to me how they sought out the New Age and Louise Hay because it seemed to be this hope for some sort of chance of survival. But these men died. This individual who conveyed this story was not able to convey to me one story of any of the people that he knew who had cured themselves via magical thinking of HIV or AIDS. And he conveyed to me that it was important that these issues be called out, because when people do not accept how HIV is transmitted or how it is prevented, it increased the risk to the gay, bisexual, and trans community. Now, for me, this becomes an issue of tantamount importance when we can look and see Hay House Publishing actively seeking to encourage gay, trans, bisexual, and queer members into the community of the New Age. It can be very inviting to see this religion where you're taught positivity, love, light, you can be anything you want. And it can be very seductive for a person who may have come from one of the Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, where these other religions may not have been able to embrace or to accept certain aspects of these individuals' sexuality. It could be very seductive when you see someone saying, well, I'll love you the way you are. I'm not going to make a judgment about wanting acceptance in that fashion. I don't feel that that would be appropriate for me to do. But I beg members of the gay community to absolutely reject Hay House's scamming and endangerment. And it's not just something from the past. Hay House Publishing has never stopped putting out that people can create and cure themselves of every illness via magical thinking. They didn't stop putting out wrong medical information. When young people have their parents not vaccinate them for HPV because Hay House authors such as Dr. Mercola, Christine Northrup, Teal Swan tell them that the HPV vaccine is dangerous, or that vaccines don't work at all, which is what Teal Swan says, that risks future members of the LGBT community. The HPV vaccine is absolutely critical for individuals who do not have the ability to process out any HPV infection that they may get. While a good majority of people can process this virus, and a lot of us become infected at various points in our lives, some individuals cannot process this virus. And for these individuals, when they cannot process it, it will lead to an increased probability of vaginal, oral, and anal cancer. Individuals who become infected with any STD, who then become exposed to HIV, are more likely to become infected with the HIV virus and more susceptible to going to full-blown AIDS. These are known scientific facts. This is not anything magical thinking is going to protect you from. When you have Hay House authors like Esther Hicks falsely putting out concepts that getting tested for whether you have a medical disease increases the probability that you are going to manifest it and come out positive. When New Age authors say these types of things, it decreases the probability that individuals will get preventively checked for STDs in between relationships before they have major symptoms, when illnesses are easier to contain and to treat, and when there is a lesser probability that you will have infected other members of your community. But we don't have the discussion about challenging when any Hay House author puts out wrong medical information. The underlying theme of Hay House is business model is that any author can put out any stupid, wrong, or dangerous thing, and none of the other authors will challenge it. Today I'd like to affirm the value of gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer individuals and say that your life matters. Your life matters to me. It matters enough to me that I am taking this day and I am filming this video to make sure that you do not accept the concept that magical thoughts will prevent or keep you from STDs to include HIV. I beg members of the LGBT community to accept the scientific consensus about how STDs are spread and how STDs are prevented. When Hay House authors demonize pharmaceuticals, when they tell people that all organic eating and magical thoughts prevent and cure everything, they increase the probability of massive spread of illness within our communities. Right now, there is a medication called PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. It is a daily pill that is suggested for members of the LGBTQ community who may be at high risk due to their lifestyle and their exposure risk in the last 6 months or prior history. It is also possibly suggested to members of the straight community who may be more at risk for infection with HIV. But in order to take this medication, you have to be willing to take it every single day. You have to take it before you're exposed. If you accept the notion that you get HIV due to bad thinking and not due to viral exposure, the probability that you will take this medication is significantly reduced. This medication, along with condom use and dental dams and other sexual precautions, is believed to possibly reduce the spread of HIV in those exposed by 92 to 97%. It is an absolute game changer for members of the gay and bisexual community and for those in the heterosexual community who are at higher risk for HIV. But we're probably going to lose gay men and bisexual men and women in our community in the New Age because REID Tracy, James Von Prague, John Edward, John Holland, Carolyn Mace, and a variety of other authors are more than happy to allow members of the LGBT community to be told that the reason you get disease is because of bad thoughts. Hay House CEO REID Tracy has decided that young people coming down with oral, anal, and vaginal cancer is a perfectly acceptable risk for his personal greed. We have vaccines that help decrease the probability of spread of hepatitis A and B. But the probability that new age consumers will receive these vaccines if they follow the false teachings at Hay House is significantly reduced. Now, for some of you, you might be thinking, well, it's their choice of whether they believe or not. When a religion puts out a dogma that significantly increases the probability of disease and death to its members, if those dogmas are fully followed, those dogmas should be challenged. The concept that Louise Hay started, that your thoughts create your entire reality, including your physical well-being, is completely false. Thoughts being able to influence how your immune system works or how you react to the situations in your life is not the same that your thoughts manifest every illness. Now, I'm going to be linking some information about PrEP use. I'm going to be linking information about the STD epidemic that we have in the United States. Last year, CDC had scientists ringing the alarm bell that gonorrhea was starting to show a complete resistance to antibiotic treatment. This is a huge problem. If we have new age consumers engaging in higher risk behavior and not getting STD tested on a regular basis and not using preventive measures not to spread HIV, then it will be through the new age that other people in society will be put at risk for new age gurus' greed. So, I thank you for the time and listening to the video. For those who may be very devout and religious, I hope that you will appreciate that I feel that it is absolutely imperative that people who may be engaging in higher risk behaviors be informed and be told what preventative measures may allow them not to get disease. I know that the Catholic Church at one point was highly discouraging people from using condoms, and they did this even during the height of the AIDS crisis. I know that health advocates and HIV educators have slammed that decision as having contributed to the spread of HIV. I am more than happy of looking at and critically examining the way the Catholic Church's decision impacted people in the world and the spread of disease. And I ask any LGBT community person who would say, yes, that is something that we need to look at, is when a religion decides that activities that would prevent the spread of disease can't be done, how different is it than when a religion is started where they tell you false reasons why you can even get sick or how to treat it? I thank you for your time. Have a great day.